Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report. Today, I have Jonathan Cruz from Cruz Collaborative, a really amazing architectural partner for Circlefoot. Felt compelled to bring you on the show today, man. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. I'd love to get right into it, man, because you've helped us out on so many projects. We've worked together for about a couple of years now, I think, maybe more. Doing architectural planning and building support for Circlefoot's projects. And then we hit it off, became friends, and are continuing to work together. I'd love for you to maybe talk a little bit about your business, who you are for the audience, and get to know you a little bit.
My background, I'm Costa Rican, Central American.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, Costa Rican and Nicaraguense. So first generation here, parents came out when they were, in their teens.
Pura vida, man.
Pura vida, yes, sir. But kind of fast forward to how they got established. They were property managers in Berkeley. So I was in South Berkeley. That's where I grew up, between the People's Park and Willard on Hilligus there. But yeah, it was a 66-unit apartment complex, and growing up there, I was exposed to just managing the complex, cleaning, renewing apartments, seeing the checks come in. So my interest first came when I saw my mom's doing the paperwork.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's how much they get every month. And my head was like, okay,
how many units?
66.
66 units. And they were just doing one complex, or do they have multiple?
Just the one.
Oh, wow.
Just the one complex. Cool. So it was always college students around. That's, what I was around. But yeah, I mean, that definitely turned on the light bulb. I want to have maybe not 66 units, but I want to have something that's just coming in. And because Mom, they don't do anything. No, but that's what they're receiving.
Wow.
And it's innocent. You don't know all the overhead and all that, but
yeah. So they were property managers. They didn't own the asset, correct?
Correct. Just the managers. Right.
Cool.
But we did all the site maintenance. When it came to renewing the apartments, we did all the work. And I say we because that's initially how I started working. Right. Started really young, and it was simple stuff: cleaning, vacuuming, shampooing the carpets, but. Then it grew into all right, I'm in charge of floor installation, painting, just all the finish work, right? And that's where I got my experience, with my hands, on the finish side. So definitely the developer's mindset grew from there, and how I got into the interest of architecture really came. I didn't even know I had that interest until maybe 7th grade, 8th grade. I was in junior high. I had a really influential, teacher that I still am in contact with now. Sometimes we'll grab lunch and, just catch up. I'm 32 now, and so many years passed by. But we were doing. It was an English class. We had read. I forget what the book was, but we had a task to, draw something that on what we read. And the book took place in a house, and there was some characters and things happening. So I was like, all right, I'll just draw a floor plan, and I'll kind of map out where this character went over here and this incident happened. And without really knowing, I mean, that's a pretty, in-depth, simple diagram. But
how old are you at this point?
I think 12, 13, probably 13.
Oh gosh,
13,
so
14.
early on.
Very early.
That's cool.
And yeah, my teacher pulled me out. It's like, what does your dad do? I was like, I don't know. He's a stationary engineer, in San Francisco. And he's very, what's the word? Animated. He's very loud.
Yeah.
But a great guy. And then, this teacher, I was going to a school in Oakland, so the demographic there, it's different than Berkeley or other areas, right? What the the neighborhoods that we're in, you know?
Yeah.
So you're dealing with a lot of students that can be a little bit disruptive, or you know. But he would always inspire us. He always started the morning off with an inspirational story, or just, you know, putting good energy into us.
Yeah.
And for me, I was always fascinated with that. Like I love hearing, like, consider myself like not a quiet person, but I'm a good listener. I like to listen. I like to talk too, but I definitely like to hear, like, what can I get, right? You know, there's a saying that a wise person will take advice, and from a young age, I feel like I did that, you know?
Yeah.
I took everything, and he was like, you should do architecture. I didn't know anything about it. You know, I knew it had things to do with drawings, you know, plans, etc. But so I was like, okay. And literally from that moment, it was in my brain, I'm going to be an architect.
Wow.
And there was no
stopping.
There was nothing else. Like, and then looking back, like, I do see, like, okay, there's a lot of hints that this was like my niche, you know, like when we did school projects, I would do like modeled. I did like an Adobe model of a village.
Cool.
So that's where it all started. It was having somebody to feed it into me. Yeah. To nurture it, and here I am now. You know?
That reminds me of the movie Stand and Deliver. Did you ever watch that movie? That story? No. Same kind of story, very animated teacher who is, I think they were based out of Oakland or something like that. I can't remember. It's based on a true story. And same kind of teacher, animated, really strong personality, and was, you know, teaching a bunch of, you know, kids in the hood. Right. And he was able to inspire a lot of them and bring them up out of this impoverished mindset to think and dream bigger. And they called him Kimosabi, like this really cool and endearing nickname. I can't remember the name of the actor, but really good movie. You should probably watch that, because that immediately I think of that. That story is really inspiring. Yeah. So, did you end up going to school for architecture? Or?
Yeah. So after, you know, fast forward, let's say to high school, you know, from junior high to freshman year, I was in like private school, right? Mm-hmm. My parents really wanted me to, you know, have a good education. I was kind of a knucklehead. Mm-hmm. But my freshman year, I wanted to take math classes in the summer so I could get ahead in math. That was my favorite topic, was math. And the school didn't let me. Oh no, it's gonna interrupt like our schedule. Like, you gotta. I was like, you're literally holding me back. So I told him, I was like, look, I need to go somewhere else. I went to a public school. It's like my first time in a public school since elementary. And they had an architecture. I took that for my 3 years there, that sophomore, junior, and senior. And that's where I put into practice Revit, AutoCAD, cool. 3D animation. Just, you know, I was always like a computer guy. Like, you know, back in the day, it was like really easy to crack software, and, you know, just kind of exploring, you know, how to really use a computer, like, in depth, you know? Yeah. But with those classes, that really, like, it kickstarted everything. You know, when I went to college at the Academy of Art.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2011. And 3 months later, you know, I started the program at the Academy of Art.
Awesome. That's like Ryan. Ryan went to the Academy of Art.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a great school.
It's a great school. It was difficult, you know, and
was that very formative for you in terms of your craft and utilizing the tools and kind of putting together a workflow? It was a platform of design.
It was a time in my life that was breaking me down, and everything that I thought I knew about architecture, I had to throw it away.
Interesting.
Right? Because again, like, in junior high, I didn't know anything about it. I'm thinking, I'm going to design buildings, I'm going to make floor plans, but architecture is so much richer than that, you know? Like, now, like, in my practice, I tell people, hey, the drafting side of things is maybe like 10-15% of the work. Like, that's like the easy part, you know? It's much more. It's taking all the parts that come together to make a project. Yeah. And execute in a way where it's seamless, right? Yep. And that goes from like design, construction methods, zoning codes, building code, everything, right? Yeah. You don't want to submit something and then, oh, I got to change the design because this is not to code and this is not allowed, right? That's like a drafter designer mindset. But yeah, but even before we get into the building codes or construction methods, like the first half of architecture school was a lot of conceptual thinking, like abstract thinking. Like we're now thinking about volume and forms, and it was a challenge for me because, prior to college, I was always like a top student, A's and B's. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA. And going into college, it was like, man, it started off with B's and C's. And then it was just C's,
So you're getting challenged.
It was challenged. And part of it, I'm not going to lie, like I did look at the rubric and the grading, system there. And I was like, man, this is very subjective. So I had to strip away like, okay, I don't care about the grades anymore. I need to pass my classes. I need to learn what they're trying to teach me. Right. But I need to just really, I understood that I wasn't going to get all the experience I needed in college. I needed to go work somewhere.
Yeah.
Mine that I was living in Martinez at the time and commuting to San Francisco, right? That's a long drive. Like I think like maybe an hour without traffic.
One way.
Right.
Yeah.
My classes started like 8 a.m.
Oh shit.
So I had to leave like way early. And the buildings would close maybe like 11. So I'd literally just be there all day.
Wow.
It was very demanding, right? Everything in the beginning was drawing by hand. We had to make the models and just hours and hours of work. And I was like, man, this is difficult. It wasn't up until like my second year where I literally was at a crossroads. Like, man, like
you almost quit.
I didn't almost quit. Well, yeah, I thought about it. I was like, man, like, this is difficult. And I'm like really over the conceptual, like just what they call artistic thinking, I'm not like a BSer, right? I don't like to fake things. I don't want to like go out and talk out of my butt. Like, and part of the architecture school is about that. You have to talk about your art, or you have to talk about your concept and just go off on your tangent. But it needs to be precise. It needs to make sense, right? It
needs to fit.
So yeah, my second year, I was like, man, like, I don't know. I don't like this class. It was like that specific semester was a class on organic architecture, like just those weird
fractal shapes, like and weird concepts.
I don't know if you're familiar with Zaha Hadid.
That sounds familiar.
She's a woman architect. She passed away already, but she was like the goddess of this, the queen of that type of architecture. And it looks nice, but I didn't have an interest. Like, you don't see that out here, right? So why am I going to be thinking about this? I'm not going to build that here in San Francisco. Like, you may have some little features where it's like that, but as a whole, it doesn't make sense.
Very niche and specialized.
It's not functional.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was like, we learned about she designed a firehouse, right? And the firehouse ended up being a storage for chairs because it just wasn't functional for firemen. I was like, it looked cool, but didn't work,
See that a lot, right? In the architectural space and the industry, everything is, form doesn't really necessarily follow function a lot of the times. And it's just for, it's like an artist. You can't really tell an artist what to do. So they're just going to do it. And regardless of whether or not you like it, they're going to be fine. But ultimately there's no function in that kind of design. That's, and this story really hits for me too, because a lot of folks end up quitting, right at the time where they're going to get through to the breakthrough.
Right.
Just a little more time, a little more effort, and you would have found the gold. But they stopped short. Did you? I assume you just kept going, right? You forged through.
I sat down. I was like, my drives home were always my time to think and like just kind of mellow out. And I was like sitting there. I was like, if I don't do this, then what else am I going to do? I programmed my brain in junior high that I was going to do this,
Years.
you know?
Yeah.
I was like, I said, okay, no, I'm not going to quit. I mean, I've never been one to quit anything, you know? If I start something, I got to finish it. So that's what I did. I got through it. Again, it was stripping away like the grades. Yeah, I would like to get A's and be the top student, but this is a challenge for me, and that's okay. I'm going to figure it out. You know, going to take it day by day. And that's ultimately what I did.
Amazing.
We started off, and it was crazy. Like, we started off with 300 students, and that dropped down
For your class?
The first 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
First 2 weeks, 50 gone.
Just
right?
boom, gone.
Boom, boom.
Dropping like flies.
And by the end of it, it was just me and one other guy.
Wow.
Just two of us that finished.
Wow.
Yeah. And we went all the way. We did the traditional thesis route, right? Because you can get like a BFA in architecture, but it's not, you know, it's not the real deal.
Yeah.
So we got the bachelor's in architecture, did a 1 full year of a thesis. So we did like first semester developing your thesis, a lot of writing and reading, and then the next semester was like, all right, now we got to build a building.
Wow. So when you get out of school, did you jump into a firm? Did you start working with people? Did you find a mentor?
So
did you bootstrap it?
After graduating, I was like, one thing I said, I was like, I'm not going to work in San Francisco. I don't want to come in here no more.
Yeah.
I hate going in there. I was like, I don't want to commute in here. I don't want to live in here. You know, and I was like, I need a break. I need to just, you know. So I was like bartending for a while. You know, I was doing like charters. And then somebody reached out to me like, hey, like this design build firm is hiring. Like you should get in there. And I was like, all right, well, if I have the opportunity, like let me do it.
Yeah.
Because like during my college years, I didn't do internships or anything because I didn't feel like I was at the level to get hired. And it was just so difficult. I didn't have contacts. And unfortunately, like I honestly believe like if you don't have a contact somewhere, you're not going to get hired anywhere.
Yeah.
I think my resume is like pretty polished up.
Yeah.
And man, it's difficult to get hired. And
yeah,
you know, even where I'm at right now,
yeah.
Even right now, it's like I'm in there just because somebody put the word in for me. Anyway, yeah, I worked at a design build firm for 2 years. I got all my
in the East Bay.
In the East Bay in Oakland.
Cool.
I was working at a company, design, draw, build.
Okay.
Architect was Tyler Kobick. Cool guy. You know, I got a lot of experience there. Kind of saw how the office culture was. It was very good for me because it wasn't like your cliche architecture firm, very like, how do you say it? Like, I guess the word's like prissy, if that makes sense. Like
pretentious.
Yes.
Prissy, clean
like
cut.
Very down to earth guys, like from the East Coast in
Humbled.
Ohio.
Yeah. There's a lot of ego in the architectural space, I find.
Yes. I mean, it was there in that office, but we don't got to get into that.
Sure.
But the point is, like, I was able to get in there. It was gritty, you know. I got my hands on projects that were from the beginning and projects that had already started.
What sort of jobs were you up to?
What's that?
What sort of jobs were you doing?
ADUs, remodels.
Cool. Residential,
but I did have one commercial project that I got to start like from the very, very beginning, which was pretty nice.
Cool.
It's the old Parkway Theater in Oakland. It's one of the 4 historic theaters in Oakland.
Yeah.
So
you guys worked on that?
We worked on that.
Awesome.
So I got to do like literally, I was in the planning department looking through the microfiche, getting like the historic drawings with my scale, measuring everything, making my sketches, and then making the CAD files.
Amazing.
Going into the building, like it was pretty cool. I was like, man, I have access to this theater. Like, I can go in there whenever I need to, and you know, documentation, you know, just everything. Ultimately, it's open now. It's a cannabis dispensary. Yeah, so I worked on a lot of cannabis work there with
Interesting.
Tyler.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool for me, honestly. Like I really enjoyed it, and I got like a good like kind of all the steps of the cannabis industry, like growers, right, greenhouses,
Were you designing greenhouses and working on
greenhouses,
operations? Like infrastructure?
Mm-hmm. I mean, straightforward permits. I mean, there's a lot of code that goes into it, but it's straightforward, you know. They just make sure the site plans have this and the sizes of the tents. It's not like difficult.
Yep.
But at least I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So from greenhouses to the manufacturing, I guess, I worked on it was like a laboratory, an extraction lab.
Mm-hmm.
So they would extract all the oils. Mm-hmm. So that they would make also like gummies, like gummy bears, whatever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like the whole like workflow of that, like what equipment's needed. Like this is all like knowledge that I have now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then retail. So it's like the three stages that you need. So literally I can start a whole cannabis operation, you know? So for the states that are not green yet, whenever you guys are ready, you know, hit me up. And but no, the old Parkway Theater, it was a fun project. I am, you know, I'm glad that I was able to do that one, you know? Mm-hmm. And once the permits were issued, I was able to physically build on it, you know, do some work there. So it was, you know, seeing the drawings, some designs. We designed some shutters, like some steel shutters for security, and you know, you're kind of doing little iterations on paper, and then like once it's finally fabricated, like whoa, that's pretty nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you went into your craft or your business shortly afterwards, or did you take a break?
Right. So after the 2 years, so I graduated college 2018. Didn't work for like 3 months. I mean, I was bartending for 3 months, and then I started with Tyler. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was 2020. The pandemic had started.
Oh yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which was like a weird phase. Mind that like from the end of my college career to that point, I was already like drafting for contractors, right?
Like on the side?
On the side.
Oh, cool.
So I was already developing that practice and those relationships with contractors. Mm-hmm. Did I know exactly how to pull a permit at the time? No. But they would say, hey, John, can you come measure and draft this? I was like, yeah, sure. It wasn't until the end of my time at that design build company where, you know, I was like, I don't want to leave here until I absolutely, with 100% confidence, can look at somebody and say, yes, I can get you a permit for an ADU or an addition, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And that's where I felt like, okay, you know, we're in the pandemic. You know, there were things happening where I was like, it's my time to leave, right? Yeah. I had my own clients as well. I was like, okay, at least for the next 8 months, I have enough money to keep me, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. Honestly, I just stayed home. I wasn't like going out too much, you know, saving my money. Yeah. And reaching out to more contractors. And it's kind of funny how, you know, timing works, because like literally people started hitting me up. Hey, I got your number from so-and-so. I got your number from this guy. Yeah. And here I am now.
It's amazing. Gosh, you know, I've heard so many stories like that where, and it really transcends multiple industries. You know, somebody's developing their craft, so they find a mentor or they work with somebody, and then they start a side hustle, and then they get to the point with that side hustle that there's like this calling, like I need, there's more to this, right? And then there's this bridge from going from what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to this like world of unknown. Like, oh my God, I have to kill what I eat. I have to get out there and find my business and do that. And it's the uncertainty that limits.
A whole different game.
It's a whole nother game, right? So when you go in and you do this, you're probably feeling very scared, because you probably don't know when the next phone call is coming in, but B, liberated. You probably feel really good that you're getting into what you love. I think so many stories that we've had where guests come on, they tell us the same thing. Like there's this bridge, this moment, this like, okay, I have to like make the leap and and dive in, which is awesome. And I think that's probably maybe a year before we met, because I ended up finding you through a contractor friend of mine, and we were kind of going through a few turnovers on some partners that we've had over the years. Everybody seemed to be either A, very expensive, B, very hard to pin down and get a hold of, or C, like they were just so egomaniacal. Like they were so attached to their drawings and would get so upset when somebody would comment or provide constructive criticism on the plan, that it was like pulling teeth, you know? So when we met you, you were easygoing, super organic, like a breeze to talk to. You had the high level proficiency of an architect. Like it was just like, oh dude, we need to work with Jonathan more. And then we started to kind of embark on more projects together. And here we are.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is awesome, man. We really appreciate all your support, because it's been, night and day compared to what we were working with in the past. And we've got our engineers, civils and geotechs that we've worked with. But even in the engineering space, like the process is crafted to be linear, but it's never a straight line. You're always bouncing around from step to step. And because planning and building put you through these hoops, it's like if you don't have the systems, the process, and the structure to maintain a solid flow for your clients and then your partners, it's gonna reflect in the work, and it's gonna be scatterbrained. I've been on projects and I've seen projects where there's so much disorganization between the players on the project that it's like herding cats when owners are like, well, what's going on? Where are we at on our progress? And we haven't hit our milestone. Where are we going to do this? Oh, the city. I mean, it's like organized chaos, but a complete shit show when like there isn't a system or a process. But working with you, it's like we're really in a good flow. Cruz collaborative resonates with me, because we're always wanting to collaborate, work with others, build teams, and do, high level stuff. Where was the inspiration for collaboration in your craft as you were developing your business?
I guess that word for me resonated because I wanted, and I still do, is to kill ego wherever I go, right? Kill the arrogance, kill the know-it-all mentality. And in architecture school, the architectural industry is that way. Yeah. They know everything, my drawings, and you're wrong, and the builder's nobody. It's like, I dealt with that in college, and I was like, I'm sick of it. Yeah. I'm so sick of it. Then I was working in an office, and I was there for a minute, and, there was some of that there, and I was like, I'm tired of it. So I told myself the same way. I don't want to live in San Francisco, work in there. I was like, I don't want to work with arrogant people. I don't want to have arrogant or egoistic clients. I've turned down clients. Like, hey, this is
not a good fit.
Go find somebody else.
Yeah,
not a fit. You're gonna pay more, but that's okay. I can't. Yeah. I even reimburse like retainers. Like, you know what? Here, I don't want no problem. Just go on with your day. Like, so collaboration was just that. I don't want to feel like I'm working for somebody. I want to work with somebody. Work with a client. Hey, let's sit down. Let's talk about what your needs are. I'm going to give you my 2 cents, whether it's like building codes or zoning codes, right? Because the client be like, oh, I want to do this. And you don't want to kill the client's idea. Be like, oh, this, you got setbacks here, or we need to have this clearance. Those little bits of knowledge that you definitely got to bring to the table. Right? I mean, that's what we get hired for. So yeah, working with people, it was my whole philosophy, and being transparent, right? Hey, I don't know that. Let me see what I can find out. Let me ask the city, or let me ask this builder, that was the whole idea behind it. Fast forward now, I mean, I'm gonna stick with my name. We can always make another company name, but I kind of wish I didn't put like my last name and.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know, because again, it was like, who cares about my name? I'm not looking to be the next top architect or architecture firm, whatever. Like, I don't care about my name like that. It's I want to work with good people. I want to do great projects, and until we get there, like, we're gonna do the journey. But now I'm at the point where like have my online presence, and people like call me, hey, I got your number from so I just I leave it there for now, but it could always change in the future.
Yeah, I think there's something to, because I was the same way for many years. Like, I didn't really want to have my name on much, but it got to the point where in order for me to scale and grow to the levels where I wanted to go to, I had to digitize my reputation. And in order to do that, I had to develop a personal brand. And that personal brand is like an umbrella to all of the crafts that I've developed over the years. It's a really great place for me to point the finger to the construction company, to the real estate company, to the collaborators and trade partners that I've developed, this Rolodex. Because when people hear about your craft, they want to know about you. They don't necessarily want to know so much about your business. They want to know who's the head of the fish of that business. Right. And if they resonate and they get value from that, then they're more compelled to reach out and want to work with you. So my personal brand is an ever evolving and growing entity, because it's this expression of myself. And all of the things that I love and I'm extremely passionate about get communicated through this, this craft of real estate and construction. And I'm such a proponent for all of the things that you just mentioned, getting all of this ego out of the industries, getting all of this greed and, compliance, status quo, like transparency and communication and compassion and empathy, and like raising your hand when you don't know the answer and being okay with that, as long as you bring value to the client or the customer by pointing them in the right direction. I remember when I used to work at the natural food store, my boss, every time a customer walked in the door, was like, "Where's the milk?" Or "Where are the eggs?" Most grocers would point the finger. "Oh, it's on aisle 3. But he would literally walk the customer all the way to where the eggs and the milk was. And I would tell him, "Well, why don't you, there's like, you got a million things going on. Why don't you just tell him it's over there?" He's like, "A grocer never points. Grocer will always walk you to where you need to be." And that stuck with me. Like stewardship, guidance, and ethics and principles, morals, all those things are just, they're the foundation. It's the base case for the craft. So I think that's a big reason why you and I get along so well, is because we share that same commonality. Now that you're like fully operational, you've got projects, you've got partners, you've got builders, you've got this ecosystem. What sort of projects are you working on now? Anything fun that you'd like to share?
I mean, right now, let's say this past year, I started off with a lot of like remodel, maybe like a small addition type work. Fast forward now, like I got new construction, larger addition projects. Yeah. Right now I have in the Oakland Hills, it's a new construction. It's about 3,500 square feet home, and it's on maybe a 60 between 60 and 80% upslope.
Oh wow.
And I passed planning.
Amazing.
I already did my public notice, and now I can go into the building department. Wow. And it was a challenging project. It was a very challenging project, right? The client came with some pre-approved plans from the planning department back in 2007.
Oh gosh.
And this goes to a testament of being transparent and like being direct with your clients.
Yeah.
You know,
You're like, that ain't gonna fly.
I told him, I was like, hey, I would suggest we don't prepare for a submittal. We do a feasibility because this is from 2007 and the codes change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Didn't listen. Okay. Got a construction loan.
Oh, no.
Started the clock.
Oh, no.
Bad.
Oh,
anyways. Yeah. So
did you guys break ground on that yet?
Well, on what?
On that project or
construction?
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I'm going to move forward in building department now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we just passed.
You're close.
We're close.
Cool.
You know, the city of Oakland, they have a minimum 18 months planning process, and I finished in 14 months.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I did my homework. I did everything. When you do your things right from the beginning, it'll just streamline the process. It'll make you look better as a professional. And I mean, that's what we're here to do, right? You want to do things right one time.
Yeah.
Measure what, twice, 3 times, and cut once.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that project, I'm excited. It's probably like my most complicated project. It's a full team, civil, structural, MEP, landscape.
Oh, wow.
You know, everything. And yeah, the structural design it's going to be pretty complex. We're going to have like deep piers, you know, essentially. I think the most challenging thing with this project was that the planning code for this particular zone does not allow retaining walls higher than 6 feet, and they need to be 4 feet apart.
Oh, God.
So it's like, okay, I'm on this 80% upslope.
Like you're on a cliff.
How am I going to? Yeah. Anyway,
work around that.
It took some iterations and back and forth. Right, the client had their needs, and it was like, hey, man, like we can't do that because of, you know. I think one bummer was like, yeah, we can't get a garage in there. You know, the lot's pretty narrow, so like I can step back, but I can't step to the sides. So he just, you know, we ended up with the carport in the front, and you know. But yeah, that was a challenging project.
On your website, I saw a project in Santa Teresa, in Costa Rica.
Yeah,
I have a dream to go and spend at least a month in Santa Teresa. And are you from there?
Like, am I from Santa Teresa?
Uh-huh.
I mean, so Costa Rica is a small country. Right? I mean, you could literally watch the sunrise on the Puerto Limon and drive and see the same sunset, you know?
Yeah.
My family, they are from Chepe, San Jose.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I have family there.
That's where my mom grew up. But my family's scattered everywhere, right? Turrialba, Limon, Puerto Viejo, Heredia. It's literally, you know, everywhere. When I go out there, before my having a family, I would go every year for at least a month.
You surf?
Surf.
Nice.
Jump off the cliffs.
Yeah.
Off the waterfall, everything.
Wow.
Hike into those like private, you know, I mean, obviously we'd had permission, but there's like some waterfalls where you have to go through people's like land.
Oh, wow.
Maybe like a 1 hour, 2 hour hike in, and
yeah,
you make it, you know. Like those are the hikes that I like, you know. I'm not like big into like, oh, I love hiking. I mean, I love hiking, but I need to have a destination. I need to have a swimming hole.
Yeah.
Or at least a badass view, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to go out there.
Yeah, I do. And so this project that you have up on your website, was that, can you tell me a little bit about that job? Because it looked pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, so that client, you know, they bought this land out on the mountaintop, and they needed concepts to go. So we did a pretty in-depth, like, back and forth on what they're looking for. You know, their very first thing that they asked for, like, I want an infinity pool. I want it to look out. I was like, all right, that's easy.
I want to
start right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that project is, I mean, what can I talk about?
Well, the real estate. How about let's start there. Like, what's the real estate like in Costa Rica in terms of cost and accessibility? You know, when we look at real estate here and we want to develop, when we have to go through all these hoops, entitlement, zoning, usage, setbacks, code. Like what's
it's
it
a
like?
lot easier to build out there. I will say that. The permitting process is the same as here, right?
Okay.
They have like 2 departments. It's not like planning and building, but it's 2 separate departments. Yeah, I mean it's not that they want to develop out there. Right? The cost of real estate now, I mean, it's more expensive than what it was. I will say that, but it's a lot cheaper than out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So literally, and I do have contacts out there if you ever need like
I'd love
to
some
buy
contacts,
real estate. My cousin specifically, like he works with them.
Oh, okay.
And he sent me this nice lot. It was like literally on the beach, right? So like your front yard is the shoreline and you got the land there.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
The only thing about it, like there was like a river that kind of passed behind it. So for me, I was like,
kind of sketchy.
Not sketchy, but like what if
floodplain,
flood, and then the quality of the soil, like foundation wise,
right?
But it was only going for $150K
for how many acres? Or how
it
big
was a lot.
The
let's
lot?
say maybe it was about 15,000 square feet. The lot,
so like a little over 1/4 acre.
So it was wide and fairly deep.
Nice.
I'm like, man, that's not bad. Like
not bad
something
at all.
like that here. I mean, over $1 million.
And then the cost to build, like per square feet.
And the cost to build is, I don't know the cost per square foot, but let's put it this way: you can build a high-end mansion, for like $350.
Really?
$350K.
So you're all in with, let's say, planning, building, permits, real estate acquisition, so land, and then construction for like $500,000-$600,000 or less. Wow.
Yeah.
So why aren't more people going down there, or are more people going down there?
There's a lot more people down there buying land, developing a lot of Airbnbs. I mean, it's.
Do you have anything down there?
I do, yeah.
What do you got?
I got an apartment.
Nice.
Right. And I do have like one empty lot that I'm just kind of just waiting. It's not on the beach or anything, but it's there. I do want to get more. It's just
on the Pacific side?
On the Atlantic side.
Got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
The thing about owning property where you don't live is you don't live there.
Don't have your eyes on it.
You don't got your eyes on it. There's maintenance and which is why I haven't really like developed out there, but I want to at least like maybe I definitely want to get like a beach property, and then in the right time I want to go with cash and knock it out. But if you could go out there, live there, again, it's not as cheap as it was, right? The dollar doesn't go as far, which is why I personally haven't really truly like considered it heavily. I would love to move down there, right? But there's so much that I need to do here first. I want to have some rentals here. I want to have an ecosystem going, so then I can go out there and just live. I could still do development out there, get clients out there. I'm gonna have some.
That's awesome.
And just focus on that and maybe fly back and forth. But the honest truth is not what it used to be, right? Out there, you can make $2,000 a month and you're like top of the food chain.
Yeah. Yeah. I for a long time was reluctant to buy real estate that I couldn't get my eyes and my feet on, and had to really change that mindset. Worked on putting together teams, that I can verify and vet that are good, property management companies, boots on the ground, other investors, people who can, walk the space and help refurbish, repair, renovate, and do it well.
Right.
That allows me to sleep at night, because California real estate prices, laws, it's not investor friendly anymore. It's not like it was in the 90s.
We're out here surviving, really.
It's tough, man. So you got to get creative. You know, you got to get creative. That's how I bought my house. That's how, I engage with all these other investors here in California, because I'm on the commercial side of eXp Realty. And that side is huge difference compared to residential. Commercial is just a whole nother ball game. You look at it as a business. It's not so emotive or emotional. People look at it from numbers and spreadsheets and impact and development. That's all such a different ball game than, working with like a mom and pop seller or buyer. It's just a lot more sophistication on that side of things, which I really resonate with, because I love kind of strategizing and breaking things down and being creative and working through problems and doing that through like an entrepreneurial or a business lens. I love Costa Rica because I have family in San Jose, and they've been there forever. And when I was like about 15, I went out there for my cousin's wedding, and that like was amazing. Had a chance to get down there before COVID, didn't take the chance. But my cousin, who lives in South America and is investing in real estate with me, was like, I got these deals in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Take a look. So I take a look, and it's mostly, condominiums over like with amazing views and areas that are, seeing a lot of tourism, but price points aren't really that great. And cash flow
from scratch.
Yeah. So that's where I would want to, pick your brain, and maybe we can get together at some point and talk a little bit about how to strategize acquisition and then development. Cause I got no problem jumping on a plane, especially to Costa Rica.
It's only 5-hour flight.
5-hour flight, and you go to Paradise and
300 round trip.
Oh man, I would love to do that. So let's intend on doing that, man.
Definitely.
I want to talk about family, because I know you got a couple of kids and a wife, and you're a business owner now, and you're doing tons of projects that probably take a lot of your time. How do you balance family life with your business?
That's a good topic there. It's difficult. It's not easy, a lot of late nights, right? Put the kids to bed. And,
how old are they?
My oldest is 2 years old.
Okay.
And I have a 6-month-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Babies.
So work. And right now we're kind of like in a little scare. So I'm just,
I
don't know how to do with the third one, but we'll see. Hopefully.
You got one on the way, man?
I don't know. Right now we're kind of waiting for the period to come. But
okay.
It's not coming, and I'm
yeah. Keep me posted.
Just not thinking about it right now, but I'm just like, it's there, it's scary, but how do I balance it all? So I do have somebody that is working for me. So
cool.
They do, right, the easy part of drafting, right? They do the drafting labor. And I've been training him, so he's familiarizing himself with like building codes, and he's in Costa Rica.
Cool.
Right. And he's the one that I work with out there as well. So,
oh, nice.
Again, so I have somebody, if I need to pull a permit out there, like this is my guy that's going to do all the legwork. So having him, it helps out a lot. It's just making sure that he's on point, meeting the deadlines, that he's understanding the scope. And that's it. Hey, just give me the PDF. I'll redline it, add this, add that. And that's kind of what I have going with him, right? So I don't have to sit on the computer so much at home to do that, right?
Nice. Bought back your time a little bit.
It did a lot. But as far as balancing, weekends, I definitely don't work on the weekends unless I'm going to start a new project. We've actually done that, where I'll go and, I take maybe 2 hours to measure, do what I got to do, and then I'll be on with my day, and I'll bring the family. We'll just make a trip out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a lot of work, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it's tiring. The nights waking up, right? I don't put everything on my wife. It's definitely like we're helping each other out. You know, I don't have that like machismo type energy. It's no, I take care of my wife. I help her out. We support each other. You know what I mean?
It's a team.
It's a team.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, hey, I need to come back. You know, I get home at, let's say 5, and hey, I need to like knock some stuff out, and I'll work till like 8 or 9. And then, you know, so there are some days where, you know, I'm not with the kids, that I don't really get a chance to like have a chat with my wife. But it's part of it. Like when you're on that entrepreneur mind and you're like hustling and grinding, it's like, it's part of it. You have to do it, you know? And, you know, if for the people who are single that are on this path, like when you do find somebody, like you have to find somebody that is going to support that vision and follow your lead.
100%.
Right? Because if they're not, it's going to be friction, and it's going to, it's going to,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Definitely not going to work.
Do you guys get a chance to do date night?
Not as often as I'd like. I mean, we love going out with the kids, honestly.
Cool.
Our kids are great. It's not like, I gotta have the kids. It's, you know, my 2-year-old, he's so confident, very friendly, and it's because he's always with us, and that's how we are out in public, and we really enjoy it. The times that we do, right? We recently went to a, you know, stand-up show. It's nice, you know. Oh, nice. But in the middle of our day, we're like, man, we miss the kids. And you know, one time we went to a show, and you know, it was in the middle of like the headliners like set, and I was like, man, let's go home. Like I miss the kids. You know? Like, so it's oh, that's awesome. It's pretty nice.
No, that sounds like a total integration, and not like you're trying to strike a balance. It's like you've got a holistic approach, which is
she's a teacher, so she's like really great with the kids. Yeah, she's like a top teacher, you know. And so it helps, right? Like there's a lot of trust in her, and again, the support. It's like the symbiosis that just works, you know.
I feel so grateful to have that too, because we have that talk. Like, is it time to turn the lights out? When is it? Because we work together, right? Katie and I work together, so it's a little different with you, because she goes to school, and then you've got your deal. We work together, which is more challenging, I think, because we have to have these discussions. Like, we're on a job, we're doing work, we're trying to meet deadlines. When do we turn the lights out to focus on us, so that we can continue to keep with our strong connection and continue to keep the strong connection? So we go out of our way to do like date nights on Friday nights. We go out of our way to put the laptop away and then just get in front of the TV and watch a movie. You know what I mean? Like that kind of intention, even though it's really small, it's just a movie. It's like we still get to cuddle. We still get to spend time together. We still get to be affectionate with one another, because the day-to-day grind of entrepreneurship is, I was saying this to Daniela the other day, you're just banging your head against the wall like nearly all day long, and you're not really feeling like you're making a lot of progress most of the time. You're just like a hamster on a wheel, and then you get to the promised land, and that's where, and I think that's why, you know, all of us are you know, doing it, is because there's a legacy involved. There is something bigger than us that we're striving for. So I think that's really, really cool and commendable of you to like, you know, put that family first. Cause it's, I mean, you probably will agree, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing, is for, it's for the kids, you know?
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, it's just the balance, you know. There's times when my son, when he's coming and he wants to sit on my lap, or he wants me to sit down, and it's like, you just got to take the time, just do it. Yep. It's going to mean a lot for them. You know, yeah, you got to get the work done, but the work's going to be there. You know, if you got to stay up an extra hour, like, so be it, you know.
I got a 16-year-old man, and I remember those days where he'd always have the most curious and inquisitive mind, asking questions about everything and anything. You know, it would drive somebody mad. Like, why is the sky blue? Why is this? How is that? You know, and always was there with him, super present, answering every single little question. And I saw this cartoon or this like meme or something years ago, the story about a son and his father. And it was this time lapse of him being a little kid and the son, you know, being, or the father being young and just being present with him, constantly just feeding him all of these answers and, you know, being an awesome dad. And then you get to the older ages of the son's life where it wasn't so much about questions. It was just more of like presence, like just being there with your father, being there with your son. And then, you know, father passes away and now the son is old and has, you know, his son and grandson, and you're passing along that intergenerational,
right,
you know, knowledge, experience, presence, compassion, empathy, patience. That's a huge one. People think that patience is a freaking virtue, dude. It is not a virtue. It is a skill. And you have to get in there and you have to sharpen that pencil every day and work on that skill set. Cause, it's not just like going to come down from, you know, the sky and you're just all of a sudden a patient person. It doesn't work that way. You got to work on it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a discipline, right?
Really is. Really is, man. Cool. Well, you know, we're working on projects together. Appreciate your time. What direction do you see yourself going in like the next, you know, 5 years, 5 to 10 years?
5-10 years. So I've been all about design build, you know. There are too many architects that don't know how to build, and these are the guys that are detailing our buildings, right? And I don't want to be one of those architects, right? So being out on the job sites is very important for me. You know, problem solving on the spot. It's, you know, developing your detail library is very important. So the next 5-10 years, I mean, I have a contractor's license now.
Oh, cool. GC?
So yeah,
awesome.
General B. So now I have more ability to like do that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, design build, that's where my focus is. I mean, I can't think too far because like I'm here right now and it's doing projects, building a bankroll,
buying real estate,
right? I mean, that's what the bankroll is for, you know, to buy real estate. Definitely want to stay away from loans. It's just better. Once you have that bankroll, then you can, you know, buy, flip, whatever it may be, you know, but that's kind of the idea. Kind of told myself, I mean, I on my first job, you know, the architect, he was like, yeah, John, like, you can't just wait for the project to come on your lap, you know, but we have to do all these crappy projects that we don't like that are not high end. Like, you got to do it because it's going to pay the bills. Like, sometimes you have to go out and make the project. And that stuck in my head. I was like, okay, I'm not going to wait for a client to give me a really cool, fun project, because even if I do get it, it's their project, right? I think the Oakland Hills one is that I'm doing right now is a perfect example because, you know, I passed plan, I did everything. Am I in love with the design? No, I'm not, because a lot of it's driven by the zoning code, right? And then there are like little design ones that the client wanted, and they simplified things, and it's just, okay, there it is, you know? So yeah, like, if I'm going to develop my own product, I need to have the bankroll to do that, to buy the land. And then now I can just really freely design something and sell it, you know? And then you start building that portfolio. So that's what I would really like to, you know, go towards. And obviously, like, you know, having some rental units, build that passive income. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's the boat that I'm on right now.
Are your parents still doing the property management?
No. My mom, she's I Actually, I haven't really stayed in touch with them these days. I don't know what she's up to. And my dad as well, like he's been out of the picture for a while. So it's I don't know what they're doing.
Got you. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate the time. For the audience, how can folks find you?
You can go to my website, cruzcollaborative.com. You can shoot me an email, jonathan@cruzcollaborative.com. I mean, you'll put my phone number on the website.
Yeah. We can tag you for sure.
Tag it on there. It's cool. Text or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty responsive. You know that.
Yep. Awesome, man. Well, another great episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report. If you guys like this episode, please do click on the subscribe button below. Love to hear your comments. We'll see you on the next one.